Hey guys, what is up? Welcome to today's video. Today we're doing my April and May reading wrap up. That is really hard to say. In the month of April, I read 6 books, and in May, I read 9. I went on vacation, so we do have quite a few things to talk about. Apologies for not getting this video out last month. It was just, I couldn't do it, you know? I don't know if I couldn't do it, or I didn't have time. Being on camera, sometimes it's hard. Anyway, so I'm gonna get started with April. The first book I read, first of all, a very big variety of things. It was a very heavy romance 2 months, mostly because my challenge books, if you're new to my channel, I do a challenge myself every month to read the top book that was published the year before. So in April, I read the book that was the highest rated or added to most shelves in April 2024. So I read that top book in April 2025. That book, I don't remember what it was. Oh, I do remember because it rolled over. That's right. I didn't finish that one in the month of April. I finished it in May. But we have a lot of romance, which is way outside of my comfort zone. I'll be honest. I'm not crazy about romance books, and I think especially in the month of April, I was really in the mood for fantasy romance, or fantasy in general, and I just wasn't getting that, and it wasn't on my TBR, and I strayed a lot as well. So let's go ahead and get started. The first book that I finished in the month of April was Happy Place by Emily Henry. This takes place in Maine. I did a buddy read with my sister on this. I had it for a while. I had bought it because I know one of my boyfriend's prompts is to read a book that takes place in Connecticut or Maine, which is where we're both from. So he's from Connecticut, I'm from Maine. So I had bought this book because I knew it took place in Maine, but then it got picked, I think out of the physical jar or something. So I decided, okay, well, let's read it. I was going to hold off on reading it, but then my sister was like, wait, we were going to read that together. And then so I had to read it, but I didn't really like it, you guys. This was my first Emily Henry. Okay, the Maine that is discussed in here is not the Maine that I know. This is ritzy, hoity-toity, Camden, Rockport, people who don't live in Maine who vacation there. That's this Maine. So if you like that Maine, great. It's a great part of Maine as well, of course. Tourists is a big part of things there, but that's not the Maine that I grew up on. So it wasn't I couldn't connect to it in that way. And I also just didn't think the characters were that compelling. I found them to be kind of annoying, I guess. And the friendships in here just felt really surface level. I don't know. There just wasn't much to connect me to these characters, I guess, if that makes sense. And their problems just they're real problems, but I don't know. It wasn't my favorite. I rated it 3 stars, which is probably a little high, but I don't really unless I hated a book, I don't usually rate it under 3 stars. So that's my rating. Anyway. The next book that I finished was Tress of the Emerald Sea by Brandon Sanderson. This was not on my TBR, and that was because, I don't know if anyone does this, but I'm going to be doing a vlog this month of reading those books. But on Goodreads, they have these bookmark challenges where you can earn the bookmark by reading a certain book. And so this satisfied one of those categories, and I owned it. I've never read a Brandon Sanderson. This was my first one. It did take me a minute to figure out the writing style, but then after that, I did really like it. I rated this 4 stars. Also, the end pages are really beautiful. It's just a beautiful book all around. How stunning. Cups are a theme in the book. Basically, it's about a girl who, her friend gets kidnapped and she goes to rescue him. And a bunch of cast of characters. She ends up becoming a pirate, and it's just a fun story. I thought it was fun. It had a lot of fun little side characters, which I liked, and it was a good introduction to Brandon Sanderson's writing. So because I do plan on reading Mistborn at some point. Oh, I did tab a few things. I don't generally tab things, but if something does stick out to me, I do. So people want to imagine that time is consistent, steady, stable. They define the day, create tools to measure it, chop it up into hours, minutes, seconds. They pretend each one is equal to the others, when in fact some are clearly prime cuts and the others are full of gristle. I thought that was a good, an interesting way to think about time. And then I have another one, which is quite long. It's about oh, interesting. This one says, People want to think that time is consistent, steady, stable. This says we want to think that people are consistent, steady, stable. We define who they are, create descriptions, lock them on a page, divide them up by their likes, talents, beliefs. Then we pretend some, perhaps most, are better than we are because they stick to their definitions while we never quite fit ours. The truth is people are fluid as time is. We adapt to our situation like water in a strangely shaped jug, though it might take us a little while to ooze into all the little nooks. Because we adapt, we sometimes don't recognize the twisted, uncomfortable, and downright wrong the container is that we've been told to inhabit. We can keep going that way for a while. We can pretend we fit in the jog, awkward nooks and all. But the longer we do, the worse it gets. The more it wears on us, the more exhausted we become, even if we're doing nothing at all, because simply holding the shape that can take all the effort in the world, more if we want to make it look natural. So I thought that was pretty good. Good writing. Good writing, Brando Sando. I was like really relatable. So anything that if I tab something, I'm usually gonna like the book. The next thing that I finished, and I had been working on this for about a month by the time I finally finished it, is The Wars of the Roses by Dan Jones. This was on audio, and this was a historical book, nonfiction historical book about what happened during the Wars of the Roses. So that would be the Lancasters versus the, oh, that's so embarrassing. Lancasters versus the Yorks. Yorks versus Lancasters. This is like what actually happened for the struggle of the English throne back in the day, back in like the 1400s. And it was really interesting. I love history. I love reading about like different parts, past different points in time. And I really love like the English monarchy and just the history of it and all of that. I don't really care about the royals now, but it's just such an interesting thing to look at. And I love to read like anything like historical stories, whatever. So I rated that 4 stars. I don't know that I really would normally, I don't like, it was a feeling. Like, it was also very nicely told. I enjoyed the book a lot. But anyway, that's a nonfiction book that I was listening to on audio. Next, I read this guy. This is The Art of Catching Feelings by Alicia Thompson. Now, this book scared me. I'm not gonna lie. This was also not on my TBR, but I was in a bit of, I'm feeling a little slumpy, and I was like, hey babe, can you pick something off my shelf? First book he picked was Scythe, because he plays a video game named Scythe. And I was like, I can't do that one, pick another one. And this is the one he picked. So I'm a huge baseball fan. Like, if like my definition in a dictionary would include baseball lover, specifically the Boston Red Sox. And I was afraid to read this because I was afraid like it would get baseball terms wrong, but it didn't. And I was afraid I wouldn't like it because it's not what I would expect, but the characters really were part of the book, and it like baseball was a kind of a character in the book, but it also was done really well. There's some rule changes recently that this mentioned, which was nice, because you know the person actually did their research. I assume they're also a baseball fan because of how well it turned out, but I really thought this was cute. Romance for me is usually hit or miss. This was a hit. I think I rated it 4 stars, maybe higher. I feel like I might also be biased of this because I love baseball so much, and it did reference baseball a few times. Well, obviously it's about a baseball player and a girl. Basically this is about a baseball player and this like reporter. Well, she ends up being a reporter, but she heckles him at the game. He cries, and then she like starts a relationship and whatever through that. They meet different ways. But this was really cute. If you're interested in baseball and if you like romance books, I actually do recommend this. I think it was pretty good. The next book that I finished was Yellowface by R.F. Kuang. Here's the thing. This was beautifully written. I really loved the way that this was written, but I did not like any character in the book, which I do think was the point. Every single person in this book is insufferable, which I think is the point. You're not supposed to really like them. Basically, it's about 2 writers. One writer dies, the other steals her work, and then there's a whole bunch of like cultural appropriation problems, and it really shows the inside of the publishing industry too, which is cool because that's not something I really knew a lot about. So that was an interesting part of it. It's just the characters, I didn't like any of them. If this wasn't my book club book, I probably would have DNF'd it. I ended up rating it 4 stars because at the end I was like, you know, this was a good story and it was well written. I just didn't enjoy reading it. I don't know if that makes sense. I probably shouldn't have rated it 4 stars, but like it's just so well written and like you get it, but it's a conflicting one for me. I don't know. The next book that I read was my only 5-star read from the month. Actually, it might be my only 5-star read from both months, which is kind of sad, but it was Codename Lise. I'll put it right here. This also satisfied one of those picks for like a bookmark that you can earn on Goodreads, so that's why I read it, but it was incredible. It was a nonfiction story told about this woman named, what's her actual name? Odette. And it's her story about being a spy in World War II for the British and French in France, and like how she like gets captured, how she gets out of it, her relationships, everything that like happens from there. It's not told from her point of view. It's told from a third person's point of view, but it's told by someone who has like talked to everyone and like knows the people who are involved in the story and all of that. So it was really, really interesting. I really liked it. Again, I really like historical, strong women. It was really good. I hope that when I finally read The Nightingale, there is someone similar in there that will remind me maybe of Lise, but I thought it was a fantastic book and I would highly recommend it. It was about 250 pages. It was off of Kindle Unlimited. I will link it down below. It's very, very good and I highly recommend women read it, especially if you liked like The Women or The Nightingale or any of like those historical fiction war books. Highly recommend. Okay, that is what I read in the month of April. Now let's move on to May. May, I read 9 books somehow. I know how. I went on vacation, and so I had already finished 5 books by the time I left for vacation, so that's pretty much how it goes. The first book that I finished, and this was the challenge book for April, was Funny Story by Emily Henry. I think I rated this one 3.5. I liked it a little bit better than Happy Place, but it wasn't still my favorite. I was more interested in the relationship and more invested in the relationship than I was in Happy Place. So that gives it points. Because it starts with a breakup. I guess that one has a breakup in it too. I don't know. I just found the characters a little bit more relatable and I liked them more. Yeah, I just like the characters better in this book than I did the other one. The plot was kind of you know, it's not like crazy. It was okay. You know, there's some underlying plots. I don't really like the end like trope or whatever, but I did like this better than Happy Story or Happy Place. Happy Story. Happy Place. But I will I don't know if I'm gonna read more Emily Henry or not. If I do this challenge next year, I'm pretty sure Great Big Beautiful Life will be the option for April, but I don't know. I'm not gonna read any more Emily Henry for a little while. I just am like not, it's not my favorite, it's not my genre, you know? The next book that I finished was a very popular new release. It is called The Rose Bargain by Sasha Payton Smith. This was cute, you guys. It was just a cute YA romantasy, I guess. Basically it's like Bridgerton, and yeah, it's magical Bridgerton, I guess. It's about a girl who basically like in Britain, instead of the Yorks winning the war when the Duke of York ended up winning and was king for a while, a fairy comes in and is like, nope, I'm the queen and you'll submit to me, and then she kills everyone. But basically that was 400 years ago, and this takes place in the 1800s. And basically like the women and men, but when you become of age and your season starts, you can make a trade for something. So you can trade a pinky finger for a great smile. You know, that's just an example. It's some sort of like, you know, fade bargain, fade deal, like how they have these. And this reminded me also a little bit of Emily Wilde's Encyclopedia of Fairies. The way that the fae are described is very similar to that, and I loved Emily Wilde. So this was kind of cozy in the same way, kind of. This is the first book. I believe it's only going to be a duology, and there's another one coming out, which I'm definitely excited to read. The ending was pretty good, not like super unexpected, but also like some things I thought would happen did and others didn't, etc. So I thought it was decent. It was cute. It wasn't like the best thing ever, but I did give it 4 stars, and I will read the next one. I would say if you're looking for like a fun, easy time, you should read this. I thought it was good. Okay, next book that I finished was my book club book for the month of May, and that was The Dead Romantics by Ashley Poston. Here's the thing. 7 Year Slip was one of my favorite books that I've read this year. I gave it 5 stars. Are these the same authors? Like the characters in here just I did not connect with them the same as I did with 7 Year Slip. And maybe that's just me, but basically it's like this girl can see ghosts, and her dad dies, and then she gets haunted by a ghost. Not her dad's ghost. That would be cool, but I think I was waiting for that like emotional moment that happened in 7 Year Slip that didn't happen in this one. There was an emotional scene, if you've read it, that like made me cry. That didn't really happen in this book, even though like it should have, I guess. I don't know. There was no emotional like ending moment that made me like the 7 Year Slip a lot better than this. And also it was obvious what was going on the whole time. And with the 7 Year Slip, you weren't sure how she was going to put it together, but it was like pretty obvious what was going on in this one. So I don't know. I did not like it. I did not like it. I think I gave it 3.5 stars maybe. And I think that's probably pretty generous because I like Ashley Poston. I liked one book by her, but I don't know, just not very good either. I'm not a romance girly, okay? The next book that I read was on Kindle, and it was Two Twisted Crowns. This is finishing the Shepherd King duology with One Dark Window. I think I rated this 4 stars. I liked this one a little bit better than I liked One Dark Window. It just really wrapped things up, and it was just an interesting and unique magic system. I thought it was fun. I mean, I don't know if fun is the right word, but it was like a cozy fantasy, and I do have The Knight and the Moth over there on my bedside table. There we go. It's on my TBR for the month. I'm hoping to get to it. It's only the 3rd, so I should be, or maybe the 4th. I don't know what day it is. It's June 3rd or 4th, but I'm hoping to get to that one. I'm glad that I finished off the Two Twisted Crowns duology. I was able to read it really quickly. I think I read the first one in February, so by April to finish a duology. Very happy with that. Finish a series. I thought it was good. Nothing crazy. I liked it a little less than I thought I would, just because the way that people talk about it's like a gothic fantasy, which I like. So I don't know. It was all right. It was good. I think I rated it 4 stars. I liked it better than One Dark Window, but I think I rated them around the same. No, I think I rated One Dark Window 3.5, and I think I rated this one 4. That sounds right. I also finished another duology for the 5th. 1, 2, 3, 4. Yeah, 5. I finished Antimatter Blues by Edward Ashton. This is the sequel and next book to Mickey 7, which was recently made into a movie, Mickey 17, which had Robert Pattinson in it. The book and the movie are different. So if you have seen the movie and you're like, oh, I don't need to read the book is different. The book is better. It wasn't a bad movie. It's just, it wasn't the book. If I didn't read the book, I don't know how I would have liked the movie, to be honest. Probably wouldn't have liked it. The characters are similar. The plot is different. Some of the characters are very different. There's characters in the movie that aren't in the books, etc. But basically, without spoiling anything, this is just a follow-up to kind of what happened at the end of the first one. You could have just finished that and never read this one, but basically, like, spring is there on the planet. That's already a spoiler. Whatever. I don't know. I'm not going to say too much more about this, but it was good. I liked it. 4 stars, and finished another duology. I just feel like this is like a good fun time. The Mickey 7 books are a good fun time. Kind of like the Murderbot Diaries are like a good fun time. Okay, the next book that I finished was Normal People by Sally Rooney. Now, this did take me a second to get into the writing because there's no quotation marks. So it took me a minute to be like, wait, what is going on here? But it was pretty good. I took it on vacation with me. This was the first vacation book that I finished. I had read most of it, but then I had to wait like 2 hours at the airport for my family. I think we're at different like terminals and we didn't know it was in a different country. So we're like, I don't know. So I was waiting there drinking margaritas, waiting for them. But I read like a couple hundred pages of this book while I was waiting, and I was able to finish it. I thought it was good. The ending was a little anticlimactic for me. I gave this 4 stars as well. That's kind of like my rating seems to be 4 stars this month and last, except for the occasional 3, 3.5, and the 1, 5, Codename Lease. I thought it was good. I mean, it's definitely a quick literary fiction read. I wouldn't say it's actually that quick of a read just because it's short. It takes a minute to get into the writing. So I would say try to get like 50 or 60 pages in and see if you can get used to the writing style, and then see if you like it or not. It was an interesting story, and I was thinking about the characters when I wasn't reading the book, so that is good. But yeah, I liked this. The second to last book that I finished, No. Oh my gosh, I have 2 more after this. This is the 7th book that I finished. That's right. The Paradise Problem by Christina Lauren. Now this has been seen a little worse for wear. This was my pool book. I took this in the pool with me quite a lot while I was on vacation. This was cute. It was a cute, fun summer read. I think I gave it like 3.5 stars. Yeah, I wrote 3.5 stars on here. It's like a little over 300 pages, like 330 or something like that. It was a good vacation read. It was a great time to read it. I may have gotten bored if I wasn't on vacation and maybe never finished it or something, but this was the challenge book for May. This was the most popular book that was published in May of 2024. So I had to finish it. It was cute though. It was cute. It's basically like a billionaire fake dating kind of trope. I would say billionaire fake dating kind of trope. And there was like family drama, and the family drama was pretty good. And that the twist at the end was like, okay, I didn't see that coming, but all right. You know, I thought it was good, fine time to read, and I would recommend if you're going on vacation. I think it like sets a good setting. It takes place mostly on a private island, so nice. The second to last book was on my Kindle, and I read the first Zodiac Academy book. Who's proud? I'm proud. It took me a little bit longer than I had hoped to read this. I didn't have a lot of Kindle books for the month of May, and you know, I want to read at least one Kindle Unlimited book a month, so I went ahead and started Zodiac Academy. It's actually called The Awakening. The writing, not great. The plot, fine. The characters, fine. But it was fun enough that I will continue the series because I hear it like gets better and more emotional, and like the characters start to get better. There were a lot of trigger warnings that I didn't feel like there wasn't like any, I don't know. There were a lot of trigger warnings. I think it was mostly talking about things that maybe had happened in the past to people, but there's like a mystery, and I feel like I have some ideas of who this like bad person could be, but there's 9 books in the series, so I think it's going to be a while maybe before we find out. But you know, it was a good fun time. I rated it 3 stars because it was good. It was fun. It wasn't like amazing or anything like that, and the writing was pretty annoying at points, but the characters were, it was just the writing style and like maybe like, you know, a typo or something. But yeah, I'll continue it, but it was on my 25 and 25 as well, which is great. And yeah, there these in my 25 and 25. Normal People was, I think that's it. I didn't do well on the 25 and 25. Yeah, it was just those 2 for April and May. But I was ahead at the end of March. I think I had 9. I had read 7. I'd read 7 by the end of March, and I think I only needed to have read 6 or something. So, all right, the last book, I've actually already mentioned part of this series. So it is Exit Strategy by Martha Wells. It is Murderbot Diaries number 4. I started this show also this past weekend. I think we started it on Saturday or Sunday. I don't know. Really good. It's the character of Murderbot as Alexander Skarsgård. I do like him as it, but it took a second to get used to. But the rest of the characters like pretty spot on. I'm enjoying it. It is only released like 1 episode a week, so that's really sad. So we're only on episode 4, but so far it is just the first book, and the one that I just read was the 4th book, so it's kind of just continuing the Murderbot story. These are also novellas, so it's only 163 pages. It's pretty short, and it's on Kindle Unlimited, so that was also good too. I had finished The Paradise Problem with like, I finished Zodiac Academy on the plane on the way home, and I was like, well, I need something short because I don't want to roll something else over, and I don't have my TBR with me for June, so I'm going, and I needed to clear space also on my TBR for other things that I are on my Kindle Unlimited account that I wanted to get on there, like The One, which is my book club book, and like Sidetracked and that kind of thing. So I wanted to get all of that like onto my Kindle, so I needed space, and I was like, well, what's a quick one? Exit Strategy by Martha Wells. So I love this series. It's really good. It's a fun time. If you are trying to get into like the sci-fi genre, I would highly recommend. The first 4 books are pretty short, 100 to 200 pages each. I think the 3rd one or the 5th one is a full-length novel, and then there's 2 more novellas after that. So I'm getting close to the end there, but that is very exciting for me. And that is the last book that I read in the month of May. I would say that May was a better overall reading month for me, but I didn't have any 5 stars. I had one in April, was Codename Lease. I loved that book. It was so interesting. It was also written so well. It wasn't written like, you know, history book are written. Sometimes it was written like a novel, even though it was a true story. So I very much enjoyed it, and I hope that you guys enjoyed this video, hearing my thoughts on all the books that I read in April and May. That would be 15 books in 2 months. That's pretty good. I'll take it. I think I'm 3 or 4 books ahead of my 72 goal for the year, which, yay! It helps when you have short books. I think on my TBR this month, I also have a couple of short books, which is nice. But I hope that you guys enjoyed this video. If you did, don't forget to subscribe. Leave a comment down below. What did you read in the months of April and May? What are you reading now? What do I need to put on my TBR? Did you agree with my reviews? Did you not? Let me know. I'll see you guys in my next one.